right, we're going to go to the movies with Rita Cinema here, and we're going to review the movie Prom that debuted on Netflix last Friday. All right, Rita Cinema, what did you make of Prom?
Well, champ, you know me. I love musicals. And I think I already made that point when we reviewed Jingle Jangle. But after I finished watching The Prom, I texted my sisters and said, I love The Prom, which I did. Of course, I was also thinking, as movie musicals go, I love The Prom. No matter how much money is poured into them or how many big box office draws you throw at a movie, a musical written for the stage is just never as impressive as a movie. It's just not as good. They can be very good. I'm not saying they're not good as movies, but the thrill of watching it on the stage with live performers, I just don't think you can capture that in a movie. And I'm not going to say anything more because why I prefer musicals on the live stage is another discussion entirely, and I don't want to sidetrack us. But anyway, Ryan Murphy, as you know, brought us this movie musical. And I read that when he saw the Broadway play, he was so thrilled with it. He said, we're going to make a movie out of this. But anyways, loaded with big name stars from movies and TV, Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman, James Corden, Keegan-Michael Key, and Kerry Washington. And Murphy himself, of course, is best known for the TV series Glee and American Horror Story. I was a big fan of Glee, at least in the early years. It kind of trailed off after a while. And I think this movie is a mix of youthful stars with an older, well-known cast and has a very similar vibe to Glee. We even get to see bit roles played by Mary Kay Place and Tracy Ullman, who are very wonderful actors and quite versatile.
Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this film. Really entertaining film. Probably the best thing I'd seen Ryan Murphy do in a while. Certainly an upgrade over that other Netflix movie, which he didn't direct, but he produced. So really enjoyed this movie. I thought everyone was really great in it except for one person. Loved the songs, and that final dance number at the end I thought was really, really dynamite.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, let me give a little background on the story so our audience, our audience can know about it. The story follows 4 Broadway actors whose careers are waning or rather stalled. Broadway veterans Dee Dee, played by Meryl Streep, and Barry, played by James Corden, are facing the end of their careers, having just bombed in the musical Eleanor Roosevelt, which of course is a joke in itself, because how could you ever make an interesting musical out of the subject of Eleanor Roosevelt? Anyway, bad reviews of the play pretty much close it after its opening night. So they're all sitting around after a music number that they do. They're all sitting around at the bar with bartender Trent, played by Andrew Rannells, and Angie, played by Nicole Kidman. Trent is a graduate of Juilliard, and he makes sure everybody knows that numerous times. And fame has eluded him, as has for perennial chorus girl Angie, who can never get the lead in the musical Chicago after many years of trying. She's always the chorus girl. Anyway, this narcissistic group of actors decides they will seek out good publicity to pump up their careers by finding a celebrity cause. That's what they cook up as they're sitting around in the bar. Angie finds a story trending on Twitter about a high school girl in a small conservative town of Edgewater, Indiana, where Emma, played by Joellen Pellman, a lesbian, has been told that she cannot bring her girlfriend to the prom. Of course, this publicity stunt is really all about, they don't really care that much about the cause. It's just a good story, and it's all about these 4 stars themselves. And Barry proclaims in a song, we're going to help that little lesbian whether she likes it or not. So that's sort of the drift of the movie. When they arrive at the school in Edgewater, with a full-blown 4-person protest, signs and everything, Barry tells Enema Emma, that we are here from New York and we are going to save you. So, that continues. Now, Kerry Washington plays the president of the PTA, and she is leading the action to ban Emma from bringing a female date, a girlfriend, with her to the prom. Little does this person know that this character that Kerry Washington plays, little does she know that it's her daughter, Alyssa, who is Emma's love interest. So, of course, it's very complicated. Keegan-Michael Key plays a school principal, and he is fighting for Emma's rights and he's trying to bring some understanding and reason to the situation. And so I'm not going to tell the whole story here, but there are a number of subplots. And of course, by the end, we have growth on the part of everyone, from the actors themselves to Emma to all the bigoted high school students, and even the president of the PTA. And I won't tell all the details of the story, but through sing and dance, they seem to find their way to clarity and a happy, uplifting end to the story.
Yes. Overall, I think I thought the performances were really good. What did you make of Joellen Pellman, the Emma actress? This was essentially her first real role of anything.
Right. Actually, she was my favorite in the whole thing, and she was the least experienced. So let me just comment on the cast, what I think overall, because, as I said, it's a star-studded cast. I mean, really, it's quite strong. And Meryl Streep is amazing, as always. But frankly, I think she's too old for the role. She's 71 years old. And while she doesn't look 71, she looks great. And she can sing and dance with the best of them. And I would never, ever question her acting skills, which, put her among some of the greatest actresses ever. But this little romantic story between her and her quite passionate fan, the school principal, played, as I said, by a much younger Keegan-Michael Key, is, I think, nothing short of cringeworthy. I guess I sort of see Dee Dee as someone in her 50s, not her 70s. And I have to admit, I'm probably the only person in the world that would criticize the casting of Meryl Streep in any role. Now, I think Nicole Kidman is a waste. I think Nicole is a very fine actress, and I like her in almost anything I see her in. But her Zazz number just didn't grab me, and I thought overall she looked gawky dancing and didn't sing very well either. Corden, has received the most harsh criticism of anyone in the play, and he does play this as a rather stereotypical gay man, and critics have decried his cliched performance. But from what I read, it sort of ranges from he's too gay to he's not gay enough. So nobody seems to be able to put their finger on that.
I was going to go. He plays it like James Corden, who,
yes,
if true. You didn't know he was married with children, you probably would lean that he possibly might be gay. So,
he doesn't admit to it.
I don't really. I didn't like his performance. I didn't think he was right for the role. He didn't give me the leading man type feel. He feels like he's always a supporting character, and you're supposed to believe he was this once big time male Broadway star. And I don't pick that up from him. I pick him up as a very good talk show host who has an entertaining talk show.
Yeah.
You wouldn't cast David Letterman or Jay Leno in this role just because they wanted to moonlight as an actor. And I know James loves musical theater, and he's been a promoter of it on his show, and that's always a good thing. But he's now ruined Cats, and he was very bad in Prom. So
well, you aren't alone in thinking that. There's a good bill.
He's going 0 for 2 here. He might need to retire from.
He's been vilified pretty much in this role. Honestly, I didn't mind his performance that much, but I have to admit, I did find him annoying at times. I can't say that I loved him in the role. And so I just was kind of in the middle. He didn't bother me that much. I do think he's much younger than, I don't know how old he is, but I know he's considerably younger than 71. And yet he's supposed to be kind of Dee Dee's equal in terms of time on the stage and starring with her and stuff. And I thought, I understand that Meryl Streep is great. And I don't want to be ageist because, I don't like it when people discriminate against someone because they're 70 years old. But, to have these two young men and.
Well, Keegan's not all that young.
Well, how old is he?
He's almost 50.
Well, to me, hey, 50 is young. I'm sorry to say 50. And that's exactly what I thought they should have had in the character of Dee Dee. Someone in their, 50-ish.
Well, yeah, I probably agree with that. But if you
not a 71-year-old woman.
If you can agree to get Meryl Streep on your side, you get Meryl Streep on your side because she brings people to the movie. You just put her name on the bill and you automatically.
Yes, I do understand that's why you
get
have a cast like
relevance. Everybody's like, oh, Meryl Streep's in it. It must be a good film.
And let's face it, I mentioned this to you. Probably the best people in these roles are the ones that start on it in the Broadway musical play, and they're nobody knows who they are virtually, so they're not going to get them.
Andrew Rannells, the guy who played Trent,
yes,
he is the only one that is actually pretty much
a
tried
stage
and true
star,
Broadway actor.
Yeah, well, and he was pretty good actually. However, I am going to say that my favorites in their roles were definitely the two young women who were cast in the teenager lead roles, and Jo Ellen Pellman, as I mentioned, and the other one is Ariana DeBose plays Alyssa, her girlfriend. I thought both of them were wonderful, and frankly, I really liked the young cast that was in it. I thought their dancing, singing, I did like that. I thought Jo Ellen Pellman as Emma was just delightful, and she had a fabulous singing voice, and she outdid everyone else virtually.
Well, Ariana DeBose was supposed to have a big Christmas because she's also in West Side Story.
Yeah, I know she has quite a bit of experience. Pellman doesn't have as much,
but she was supposed to be in the Spielberg West Side Story that was going to drop on Christmas Day, which sadly will come out next Christmas Day.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, I thought Pellman pulled off the role very convincingly. I think, I always enjoyed it when she was in a scene and when she was singing, and she was very good with the emotions of the situation from, high to low. And kudos to the two young actresses who were in it. And I mean, it's not easy to act with Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep. I mean, how do you become and yet I thought they were the stars. Now that, that's my take on the cast. I have some other thoughts on the production too.
All right. Well, let's, I enjoyed the production, but I will say this about the production. It felt like a TV show. Now
that's what you can't reproduce a stage musical.
Well, no, but if you go like Rob Marshall style in Chicago or Into the Woods or the Les Miserables,
those were all very good, but they still aren't like watching it on the stage.
But the production value, I will say, is over the top. And
is
this
good,
felt like a blown up episode of Glee.
It did.
Which
isn't bad.
No, it's not bad. I was very entertaining. But, they had a high school location. They shot on their high school location, and they didn't much.
Well, that made it look more realistic.
Yes, but they didn't much vary off of that. And also, Ryan Murphy really isn't a film director. He's a TV producer, and that's why it had probably a little bit of a TV feel. So I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it. But, I'm comparing more so like a Rob Marshall or a Tim Burton musical or, those type of musicals that have come out in the last 10 to 15 years that have real, expensive set value.
Right.
Where this probably had a production budget of about $2 million, where those probably had a production budget of about $30 million.
Well, I did think they made it look realistic. I mean, I think, the little small town motel, the mall they went to, the high school, it definitely looked like whatever Edgewater, Indiana looks like.
Well, I was wondering if Keegan-Michael Key was just jumping from set stage to set stage, doing this one in Jingle Jangle
and
Christmas
Jingle
at the same time.
I don't know. I don't know about
saw him on Netflix campus, and we're like, why don't you come do this one as well?
Yeah. Well, he's very talented, actually. I thought he did a good
really
job
good
too.
Actually,
I thought he was one of the better of.
He was. I actually enjoyed him much better in this one than in Jingle Jangle.
Yeah, I think I did too, actually. Anyway, I don't fault the production too much. I get what you're saying about the TV feel feel to it. And it was very much like Glee, but I enjoyed Glee. So, but I thought the music, the costumes, the glitz, the dance numbers, I thought the choreography was all good. I enjoyed all of it. And just as I mentioned, the youthful cast, just like as in Glee, I thought they did rousing numbers, and they were all quite well done. And yeah, that last dance number, the prom dance numbers, the last ones were really good.
That was my favorite scene in the whole movie.
That was good.
They had Tracy Ullman in the background.
Yeah, I like Tracy Ullman things,
she which is always fun to see as she dresses up in one of her.
Well, she
crazy,
was dressed as Barry's mother, a Midwestern mother. Yeah, and boy, she looked it too. Believe me, I grew up in the Midwest, and I know she definitely looked. But she's wonderful, and I think Mary Kay Place, who played Emma's grandmother, was nice too. I like that. But I will say. It's kind of a long movie, 2 hours and 10 minutes. I mean, when you go to see a musical in the theater, it's long too, but you get breaks between scenes and you get an intermission. And so it's broken up a little bit, but this is 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I thought that
some would say that's what the pause button is for on Netflix.
Well, I understand, but you're pausing in the middle of a fancy dance number. You can't do that. Anyway, I did think that there were a lot of subplots. Each one of the adult actors, each four, had a story to tell, and we got all of their story. And I actually felt like they, I suppose this is part of it, but they focused a little too much on the adult stories. And I would have sort of liked a little more on the, the actual story of the situation with the high school. I really did enjoy the young people and their talent and their musical and dancing talent quite a bit. Although I do understand why they have to have a big stars in a movie musical, because otherwise people won't watch it. That's all part of it. And I do think all my observations that have been critical, I started out by saying I texted my sisters and said I loved it, and I did love it. And so I think most of my criticisms are kind of picky observations. And I really don't want to criticize the movie too harshly, because actually I thought the message it sent about inclusivity and acceptance was a very good one. And they did a good job, I think, portraying that. I thought that, good music, fine acting overall, make it fun to watch. And it does have, it is a movie or a stage musical, and it does have a bit too neat of a wrap up. Everybody turns out, they've changed their mind about everything, or they've had growth, and everything sort of turns out well for everyone. And I think we all know that real life isn't really this easy for young LGBTQ individuals, particularly in high school. But that's sort of part of theatrical license, and the fact that you have to be able to fit a story, and particularly if you want it to be a happy, uplifting story, into a 2+ hour, production. So I will say that I've also read that some that have noted they think the story is dated, and that there is more acceptance among young people now for something like this. But actually, I did a little reading on this too. And this particular story, The Prom, was originally made from sort of around real life events that occurred in 2010 in Mississippi, not in Indiana. And
is there a difference between the two states?
Quite a bit, yes. Although, when there is, but when it comes to LGBTQ issues, I think probably not. But anyway, actually, what I was going to say was there are still numerous, up until last year, even this year, there were still numerous cases around the United States that involved discrimination and lack of acceptance at high school proms and other high school events. And they have, they aren't 20 years old. They are, just a few years ago. So this, this kind of situation does still exist. I do think young people have a little different view on things like this than they did, 10, 20 years ago, but not a whole lot. And adults are still influencing young people in negative ways about this as well, this kind of situation. But I do think this story brings this production brings Emma's story to life with music, and it's quite heartfelt, and I enjoyed it. Both the performances and just her story. You just sort of, you like Emma so much that, you don't want this to turn out bad for her.
I think this is definitely a really entertaining movie. And I think it's a fun watch, entertaining watch. I don't know if it's the greatest musical ever made, but it's an entertaining movie to take up 2 hours of your time. So speaking of that, what do you got ratings wise for this movie?
So I recommend this to musical lovers, and those who liked Glee once upon a time. I gave it a 7 because I do think it's enjoyable entertainment. And, it's going to take a heck of a movie, particularly a movie musical, for me to give anything a 10. And I thought 7 was reasonable because it certainly wasn't perfect. And as you say, while it's fun and entertaining and tells a good story and sends a good message, it's not the best musical ever made.
Yes. I'm close. I decided on a 6. I couldn't move to a 7.
Okay.
James Corden moves it down from a 7 to a 6. If we could have gotten a better leading man, I think, to play that role, we might have been able to go 7.
One of the, I forgot to highlight one of the scenes in the movie that I really liked. I'm going to throw it because James Corden came to mind. It's when they're checking into this little motel in Edgewater. And of course, they're treating it like a big fancy hotel in New York. And they want a suite and all that. And the guy says, we don't have suites. And first, Dee Dee starts pulling out her Tony Awards, which she carries in her handbag. And then James Corden starts pulling out his awards too, thinking that if they show this guy that they're these award-winning, stage stars, they're going to get the suite that the small motel does not have, of course.
Yes, I did enjoy that.
I thought that was pretty funny.
All right. So that's our movie review for The Prom. We have 2 big ones coming up. On Monday, we're going to do Tenet. And then the following week, we're going to do Wonder Woman, real live theatrical movies. Granted, they will be streamed, but they were technically real life theatrical movies. So
they don't have any music, I don't think. Well, other than background music, of course.
Wonder Woman might have some cool 80s music. And Tenet will have a cool score because Nolan's a sound nut. But
very different than The Prom, I think we're going to get with Tenet and Wonder Woman.
We're going to get some real life, full-length motion pictures here. So Tenet and Wonder Woman coming up on the movie review.